Hi, Darlene Morgan here, and it is Tuesday, July 19th. And I decided that I'm going to audio record these instead of videotaping them because I feel like it's less intimidating and I think it's more convenient. I know for me personally, when I'm out and about, I'm walking, I'm at my girls' practices or their games, I know it's super nice to just be able to throw on some headphones and listen in to a podcast or something. So I hope it works for you, and I'm going to give this a try and see how it goes. Okay, so I want to dig into a recent Facebook post about someone I saw from my past and talk a little bit about the reaction. I want to make sure that I'm handling things right because a lot has happened to me, and for me it is all about the reaction of it and how I approach it. And so I want to share my experiences with you in hopes that it helps you too. Okay, so let's get into this. Okay, I don't really know what has been going on, but lately it seems something happens every day that is questioning my existence as a mom and primarily my faith. It's super annoying because if I'm going to have issues, that's one thing, fine, I get it. But when it messes with my soul and my mind and it causes me to wonder how to manage this life and how to pray about it, that's when I get edgy. And I have been praying for years and slowly developed the platform of I just give it to God. Sounds cliche, I know. Just give it to God and go to sleep. Listen, I've done that. I've practiced it. I thought I had perfected it. But lately, it's been different. I guess when you're giving your problems over to God that involve money and repairs on your home or your car, or it's on a timeline, you kind of want to know exactly when God is going to step in, because I kind of don't want to pay late fees or have my daughter in her college with a balance on her account. And I would really like my girls to be able to take a shower without the water pooling outside in the hallway. Yes, that could be happening. A dry hallway without the potential of mold. Mold. Don't even go there. I'm telling myself just don't, because that's not happening right now. I've had a plumber check it out. We're going to get it figured out and get it fixed. But you see what I mean? My mind just goes to the worst lately. And honestly, this is not me. So let me clarify the college tuition, because I want to say something about that. I know there's debt when you go to college. Trust me, I know. But she is so close to entering her first year with zero debt. And I'm bound and determined to find a way to pay for it. It is within reach. Like, the balance is right around $3,500. And to me, that's doable. I can figure out a way to pay for it. And so I just wanted to deviate a little bit because I don't want anyone to think, oh, it's dead, it's going to happen. Yes, I know, and I'm willing to accept that. But when you have something that, to me, is that minimal, I just want to try my best and try to eliminate it. So, and of course, that helps us out later and now. And anyway, that's part of what's on my mind, and I'm getting way off course here, and that's never a good idea. Okay, so back to where I was. So in my last video, I mentioned something about how I've gotten to this point and the trials of it all. I mentioned why people would run from me when they saw me approaching them. This is probably a bit of an exaggeration, But then again, maybe it isn't. Maybe when I think back to those days of walking into a ballpark, I can recall the look on people's faces. The look of, oh no, here she comes. The fear in their eyes, and certainly not from me being this physically threatening person. No, but that last statement does need to be expanded on at some point in time. There was a threat, and I'll get into that another time. But that is the reason why I just want to mention that there was a reason why people would want to run from me. Because, I was a huge mess back then. And it just ties into this whole time period when I saw this person from my past. So after seeing someone from my past, I felt like God was trying to tell me something. Like he's trying to reach me. I am a firm believer that when you run into someone completely unexpected that has affected you in some capacity, we are needing to learn from it. There is something to take away from it. Asking Jesus, what do you want me to know? The person was the judge from my divorce. She was with my most favorite doctor ever. He was my favorite doctor because he knew all about my family and the losses that we've had and the cancer that we had experienced in my family. He was kind and he was always real with me, and I really appreciated that. During one of my appointments that I had had in his office after he had retired, I had asked his nurse what he was doing with her, with the judge. And, after all, I only knew one side of her. The nurse replied, "She makes him happy." Well, as painful as she made my life didn't mean it was like that for others. And since I liked him, I was glad he had found someone. When he went to introduce me, she and I looked at each other in a familiar way, and after hearing her name, I said, "Yes, you're my judge during my divorce." She had a look, but not sure her heart dropped like mine. My heart felt heavy, but I didn't experience any kind of anxiousness, which kind of surprised me. Nor did my mind immediately race with wondering what could I tell her that I couldn't while I was in her courtroom. Nope, none of that. I was just nice. I was genuinely nice. She did remember me, and she told me so. I took the order, and we made small talk about how I was doing and what the girls were up to. And I gave a brief version of our life, and I told them that I would let them eat and come back and visit them, after they were done. So while they ate, I got photos of the girls ready to show them. So I returned to their table and talked to them a little bit, and I told them that we were doing fine. And even though our town is small, I knew she and the doctor probably didn't know about the girl's dad and his death. So I told her, I said that he had died in July of 2018. She was taken back by this because she did remember him, and I could tell she was taken back by it by the stoic look she had on her face. I told her how they had found him, about the garage at someone's house, and how much alcohol he had had in him at the time of his death. Thinking back after seeing her, I thought to myself that I guess later on, if there was one thing I might have wanted to say to her at the time I saw her was, I wish you had listened to me when I tried to tell you he needed help. But you see, that's the thing. Because when we talk without thinking first about something we feel passionate about, we don't always know how to express it properly. especially when you're in the heat of a super hard circumstance. You don't exactly talk reasonably, so your message isn't taken serious. Hey, welcome to several years of my life until I got a slap in the face clue that silence really can be sacred until you know how to get a point across intelligently or at least calmly and not sound ridiculous. Okay, so back to my meeting with them. I shared my photos with them. And I told them all about Olivia going to college and playing golf and my youngest girl playing 2 sports. And then I told them about Annie, my middle daughter. I began the sentence with, all of my girls have grieved differently, but Annie has struggled the most with her dad's death. You know, maybe in a way, I did want the retired judge to feel what my life was like, even just a little. I realize those who work in the court system need to be diplomatic and not show favoritism. And maybe she didn't show favorites, but it was apparent she wasn't ever pleased with me. I represented myself. I wish I had had a video to be able to go back and watch how I did. I was so flippin' nervous each time I entered that courtroom because I knew I would never have a chance to talk. So when I did speak, I would ramble and I would spit out words as quickly as I could. But by doing this, I did not give my words value or substance. What I remember is I had to get my points across because I would often get interrupted by the opposing counsel, which was a very intimidating tactic that worked on me. You know, most of the time in court, I spoke simply the facts of what was happening outside of the courtroom, but it wasn't the right tactic. And we found ourselves in the courtroom often, just ridiculous stuff that I cannot go into. But I felt like I had to paint a picture for you to give you an idea of why it was so difficult to see her. Because I probably saw her at least 2 or 3 times a month for at least 2.5 years. You know, and it's not like I became mentally immobilized by her after all was said and done. I couldn't. I had to take care of myself and my girls. But when someone like that affects your life, and in some ways the outcome, it's a lot of analyzing about the what ifs and regrets. It's the past in your face and the hurt you felt back then and how it conjures up again. And when I'm already going through this emotional distance and detachment with who I am and what the heck I'm doing, well, I had to ask God, what in the world are you seriously trying to tell me here? What can I learn from this? My friend, who perpetually finds the silver lining, said, you know, maybe it's so that she could see how well you did regardless. Maybe it's so she can see how the girls are still doing well. Yeah, I know. He makes a great point. But it doesn't feel good. Don't get me wrong here. I am so freaking thankful that the girls and I are doing okay. Aside from some minor issues, we are doing fine. I think it has more to do with how and why we are doing fine at this point. It's very confusing to a person who had somebody die and now you find yourself doing okay and still surviving. During those days when I was this frantic, chaotic, verbally angry person on social media and oftentimes in person, I felt like I would be that person forever. Only when my ex died did I get hit with this ton of bricks. I went into shock, and then I went into survival mode. Was that judge meant to be in my life? Was she part of the strength that I have now? Did God place her there? I'm not saying I'm Wonder Woman. I do what I have to do, and it does take strength. It does take perseverance and determination. Just because I have these low points doesn't mean I give up on what I need to do for myself and my girls. I remember one moment in her courtroom when she really upset me, and I think it was because she said something that I probably would have told myself. It was during one of those hearings when they were trying to determine the child support and the alimony, and she looked at me and said, "Why should you get maintenance? You are an educated woman who can go out there and get a job." Ouch. I remember that moment so vividly. Before my divorce, I actually used to wonder the same thing about women and why they would want their husband's money if they weren't going to be with him anymore. Then I suddenly found myself in their shoes and I figured it out. I had gone several years without a job and I just needed that financial boost before I could go out there and get myself work. But her words stabbed me because I knew she was right. Why would I stop being who I was just because I found myself in the heartache of a divorce? God knew all about this and the impact she'd have on me. There are those people that come into your life that can really upset you, challenge you, and make you question every part of your well-being. But it has to be about what we do with those breaking points. Because if we don't find purpose in it, we just drive ourselves mad. And even worse, we begin to question everything about ourselves. This judge did that to me. This judge did that to me. But if I could have foreseen the future and known what was to come, I might have been able to handle it better. But in the moment, there was no way I could ever make sense of it. Not to mention, we cannot foresee what God has in store for us, so don't even try to do it. So I guess what I want to take away from this encounter is what I can do the next time I feel minimal, small, nothing. A person's actions can do this to us. 5 years later is a long time to discover your worth, especially after my experience with her. She is part of that discovery. She was a component of it. Right now, someone you meet is part of your journey. Even if they don't make you feel good, you have to determine the reason you have seen them and why that not so good feeling is there and how you can overcome it. I'm still trying to figure things out after the death of the girl's dad. About 50% good discoveries and about 50% regrets. Regrets are tough, but we do have them. We just don't have to keep them. We have to find forgiveness with others and ourselves. Figuring out how this judge affected my life 5 years later gives me some work. If I meet someone now that has an effect on me that perhaps makes me feel a little uncertain, I need to let it set. I need to realize that God placed this person in my life for a reason. It's another cliche, I know, but maybe I can handle things that life gives me better, even if it takes 5 years. Okay. Thanks for listening, everyone. It means a lot to me, and I'm going to keep working on this. It's one of those things on my bucket list I wish to conquer is just getting my voice out there and maybe possibly having, some type of podcast or audio recording someday. So anyway, if you'd like to sponsor or support us, give me a shout. My Venmo is attached. Local businesses, please get with me. I would love to get your name and your business out there and send some love your way. Hey, all, thank you find your purpose in encounters. Ask God, pray about it, find peace. God bless you all. Thanks again for listening.